and look back on some ranked matchups that we had in the conference last week. Let's start on Friday, which was one of the best games of the week, and at least an exciting back and forth affair in Lincoln. Illinois, Nebraska, top 25 showdown. And boy, the Illini may be the surprise, certainly in the Big Ten, but maybe across all of college football so far.
Yeah, and they're one of those teams that I was mentioning that's played one or two quality opponents, and so has two really good wins on their resume. This was a great win for Illinois. I mean, they beat Kansas earlier in the year at home. Kansas is not quite the same as what they've been, but at that time they were a top 20 ranked team. But this was a legitimate win and a legitimate opponent. Nebraska was playing really good football. We know about the environment and the atmosphere there. It was a night game, and Illinois went in there and did what they had to do. And that came, I think, in two forms. Number one, Luke Altmyer, the quarterback, played outstanding. Took care of the football, threw 4 touchdown passes, but even more so did not turn the ball over. And then they had enough balance running the football, particularly late in the game, to where they outrushed Nebraska for the game. But they really leaned on their running game late and into overtime, and it was a great formula for success against a really good team on the road. So I don't think Nebraska played poorly.
No.
I was a little surprised that their defense was not better, not able to get to the quarterback a little bit better than they did. But I just think Luke Altmyer right now is playing at a very high level. He's playing as a very confident quarterback, and that was a huge win for Illinois.
You've got to give Nebraska credit. They are still playing well, and we've seen already within the Big Ten that one loss this early in the season doesn't completely derail your season. That's a season that I think we expect Matt Rule to continue to have on the right track, but just so much impressive qualities about what Illinois has done and the season they've put together already so far this year. So looking forward to it. Nebraska did miss a late field goal in that game. That was very makeable. So it's just a reminder of how one little thing, one bounce, one kick, one whatever it might be, can completely change the course of a game and a season. But again, both teams playing exceptionally well, and which is great for us in the Big Ten, and looking forward to seeing what they can do the rest of the season as we go. Michigan and USC. This was one of the marquee games of the week around college football, a top 20 matchup in Ann Arbor, and it was Alex Orji's first start of the season. And so the question was, what's it going to look like offensively for Michigan? Well, in the first half, they had nearly 200 rushing yards, and they eventually just out-physical USC. They were down late. Kalel Mullings makes the deep run to set them up in the red zone, and they pay it off on 4th down and one of the more impressive touchdowns and efforts by Mullings to get it done. But what a win for Michigan in this one, and a welcome to the Big Ten for SC.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of really good things in this game on both sides of the ball. I mean, first of all, Michigan, you don't want to attach a must-win situation to that game, but it was a critical win. I mean, they would be looking at 2-2 had they not won. And they leaned on what their identity has been, which is their offensive line, their ability to run the football. They really controlled the action at the line of scrimmage, and they were able to pressure Miller Moss quite a bit. But credit to him and to USC and Lincoln Riley. They found a way to kind of make plays and get the ball in the end zone and make this game close and really put themselves in a position to win. And it's funny because as I look at these two teams going forward, I'm thinking, okay, well, with USC, you can't have your quarterback throw 51 times a game. You've got to be able to have a little bit more balance, a little bit more run success. And on the other side, Michigan, you can't have a quarterback who gains more yards rushing than he did throwing the football. I mean, he had, 30 some yards passing. That was good enough in this game. That's not sustainable, to continue winning in the Big Ten. You have to have better balance in that. So it'll be interesting to see, where that pass game goes from here with Alex Orji as a quarterback. But he was efficient. He took care of the ball. He didn't make critical mistakes. And, they were able to really run the football.
Which can be a recipe for success. Now, it's not going to win you a national championship, but it can win you a lot of games. And we saw that, which we'll get to in second down in a moment. But we saw that with Iowa as well. And Cade McNamara had less than 100 yards in that game. Alex Orji had less than 100 yards passing in his game. And both of those teams won their respective matchups. So it is a possible and feasible way of winning games. It's just how long can you sustain that level of play? And then if the running game does get stopped, you're kind of pigeonholed. Is that the right way? Pigeonholed, but you're pigeonholed down in that sense. So it will be interesting to see how Sharon Moore and company do try to find the right dynamic now moving forward the rest of the season.